And then
Beach, they deserve to be kicked off.
yeah,
Seriously.
you're done. Get off. Who's going to be sharing the screen?
Sarah.
Sarah. Okay.
Sarah.
So I'm going to make you the presenter.
Awesome.
So you guys can probably see the brightness
Sarah's
behind
promised me she's got solid Wi-Fi.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey.
I got solid LTE. My Wi-Fi is really crap right now. I blame Comcast, but AT&T is coming through.
Solid Wi-Fi is mandatory on something. I've given up on Wi-Fi and I hardwire everything now. So you guys are probably seeing this bright orange behind me. I think it's orange. So Lanteria is one of our session sponsors today. So if you guys have not heard of Lanteria, or if you have, you should definitely check them out for recruiting. And I'm going to pull up something for you real quick so you can kind of see. Oh, doesn't look like it's going to pull up because you're sharing your screen. Anyhow, so that's fine. We don't need to pull it up. So there was a couple of roles today on using Office 365 and SharePoint. And then we had a bunch of questions around what software do we have, or can we recommend that we didn't get the answer around what can we use with 365 specifically? Lanteria. Lanteria has a recruiting product that is specifically built for 365 and SharePoint. So that's it. So check that out. You'll get an email about that, or we'll include that in one of the links there. So with that, you guys have how many roles? Are you doing 2 roles or 1 role today?
3 roles.
3. Oh, okay. Well, 3. There you go. So we'll see if you can fit them in. I'm going to stop talking so you can do all 3 of those. So let's go. Yeah. So I'm going to stop talking, but go ahead and explain the roles, what you did, and kind of run us through your results, and let's see what you guys have. I'm going to stop talking. Guys, ask questions before we do that. Ask questions. Q&A box on the side. We will filter questions in, so just drop them in. And we'll grab those and we'll facilitate those out. We'll maybe cut in, but we'll definitely do it in transitions.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, cut in is good. Should we introduce ourselves first? We should say who we are.
Yeah.
Who are
you? Go first.
Sarah Goldberg, Grover's mum.
Yep, he is sleeping. Grover is sleeping on a couch. Hopefully he's going to stay asleep for the whole hour. I can only hope. Earlier he was literally bouncing off the wall. But in terms of job stuff, I work at a recruiting agency called Objective Paradigm. We're an IT recruiting firm based in Chicago. And then I am a sourcing lead, and I provide hands-on sourcing support to a variety of clients who just need sourcing. They don't need full cycle recruiting. I'm your person. And then I'm really excited to be here. I'm Katrina.
Yay! So I'm Katrina Collier. I'm in London, UK, and currently my banjo, the Springer, has just gone under my chair, and I have a feeling I might suddenly drop at some point because he's misbehaving. I'm the author of the Robot Proof Recruiter, which I'm extremely proud of. I've been, by the way, 74 contributors, including tons from this community in this book. Been in the industry 17 years. I've been a recruiter, I've been a trainer, I'm a facilitator, I'm a speaker, and I'm here to talk engagement, not sourcing. So Sarah's going to do the sourcing bit, and I'm going to say how I would try and get somebody to respond. So what I'd go looking for. So shall we hit it off with this? Shall we do the Israel one?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So Benjamin in Israel. Wow. I mean, were you just having a bad day when you sent this one over to us? My God, we did go, oh my goodness. He's actually an Australian. Actually, I don't believe he's on the call. I believe he subbed himself out for somebody else, so he couldn't hear me giving him stick for being a fellow Aussie. So they are looking for a product support expert, and they call it a data specialist based in Israel. And the person has to be from Israel as well, just to narrow down the talent pool dramatically. The role has been open also for a year, which is the bit that we went about. The person will work with R&D and product teams to understand the data infrastructure in each product and communicate it to support sales and customer success teams. The challenge that they find is that they're finding someone who understands big data systems but isn't looking to be hands-on. So everyone they found has been too technical. Someone who's looking to train others, be an excellent communicator, deliver great presentations, and understand the customer's perspective. So you get why we kind of went, oh, thank you, Benjamin. So What did you do other than going, thank you, Benjamin, multiple times? There might have been a few expletives in there, by the way.
Yeah. So I do want to say everything that I'm going to cover today is free. So I do have a variety of paid tools that I use, but I really wanted to go, outside the box. What would you do completely for free? Obviously, anyone can spend a bunch of money on a variety of tools. They're great. They make things easier, but you can do a lot for free. So some elbow grease. So first thing, you're going to see all my search history as I was doing some preparation. So apologies.
No cheating.
Right. So we'll get to all these questions later. But the first thing I wanted to do is narrow it down to Israel, right? So I actually, I'm not gonna lie, I'm going to take us through this step by step, slowly.
I think it's really cool as well, because for someone from the West Coast of the US who may well never have recruited in Israel, how you worked out the Israel bit of the LinkedIn, I think is actually really important for people to know for any foreign role. So.
Yeah, so I went super basic, and even though I'm on my slightly faster LTE, my internet is still very slow. I apologize. But I just looked for someone in Tel Aviv, because I know someone in someone who, oh great, now I'm gonna get actual jobs. So I did do this first search actually in Recruiter. I do have a Recruiter sheet, but yep, we can still do this here.
We can do this. We have another 53 minutes.
Yep. So actually what I did was I went to find someone, and then always look at the contact info. And when I did this from Recruiter, it actually started with il.linkedin.com/in. So I don't know why this isn't happening right now, but it did. Usually it pulls up something right here that like a little question mark. And we'll look at a real profile later that we grabbed from Google that will show it, that will say the original subdomain is in Israel. So unfortunately, this particular example didn't work the way we wanted to, but we're doing this live.
That's okay.
So
actually, you're right. It doesn't. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah. So instead, I'm going to. So instead, but spoiler alert: the subdomain for someone who lives in Israel and the beginning of LinkedIn is IL. If you're ever looking for someone in the US, I always just do site www.linkedin.com/in. It's just a matter of finding.
Yeah. So the different countries, you'll have uk.linkedin.com for obviously for the UK, de.linkedin.com for Germany, FR for France, and so on. So it's the country codes. But you're right, that is actually now hidden. So that was really cool. You worked that out. It's pretty smart, the old Goldberg.
Yeah, here's a better example. I just did a site search. So this only works, working backwards. But you can see this original subdomain question is Israel. And then just a fun side fact, anything as you're looking through any LinkedIn or really whatever website, anything beyond this question mark is just sort of something that they want to know because they're doing tracking, or just a random note that they have. It's not actually going to affect the URL at all. So if I was then going to share this person's profile, I would erase everything after that question mark. And as you can see, it's going to reload, and the is wherever is gone, but I still know it's that. Awesome. So that's sort of what I would start as. I'm going to be real honest. I've never been to Israel. I've never sourced for Israel before. So this is a little bit, learning as we go, but that was really the first step in the process. Now I'm going to get
loads of people on this call who've never sourced in Israel. So it's so cool to follow your thought pattern on how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
So that's really what people want to understand, isn't it?
Yeah. And then just to sort of talk about why I wanted to start on LinkedIn is just because that can sometimes be a really useful first place that I look. And people are more, it's easier, especially with a country like Israel, which is geographically pretty small. And, they just said Israel, they didn't say, find me someone in this specific city. That's easier to narrow down a country. trying to search for locations and resumes on Google is not always the easiest thing in the world, especially without knowing zip codes, because you can use the, oh my gosh, I completely have blanked on the name of the operator, but use 2 dots, and you can say like, show me someone between this number and this number. You can use that with a zip code in the US, because those are just numbers. But, yes, but in this case, I wasn't quite sure. Awesome. So that's just sort of step one, saying, hey, Google, where are we looking? And, you know, it's also covering the geographic part of the search. So people in LinkedIn who live in Israel and their LinkedIn URLs will start with that. So we're going to start with that. And then next, you mentioned they need to understand big data. So I'm actually just going to pop in big data right into my search just to see what we have. And also, you know, I want to see how many results we have, how much further we need to narrow it down. Obviously, this is going to be way too many people, and probably a lot of these folks are more technical or more senior than we necessarily need for a product support role. So
that's okay. Benjamin's had a year. He's probably gone through the 41,500 results by now.
Yep, messaged every single one of them. So with 41,000, that's a lot. So, you know, I'm going to narrow it down. I want someone who's got a product support background. Maybe they're not doing it right now. I know in the US, when I think of this, I think this is a technical support person. Learning a little bit more about the JD and like reading through the blurb, it looks like this person's like an internal product manager almost. But I just still want to see what we've got. And then using quotes just to say, you know, I want someone who's got the phrase product support. Oh, this person is, spoiler alert, AppsFlyer is the name of the company we're working for. So this is someone who's in the job right now. So I want to see, yeah, I want to see what background they had. So this is always something that I look at just to sort of see, you know, what the career path someone took to get to what we're looking at right now. So, hey, Sarah, you know, it's just as valuable to know how.
Sorry to cut you. We have a question that's coming in, but I think it's relevant to ask now instead of forgetting for later. It's about country codes. So what's an easy way to find the country code so that they can start building out and search appropriately?
Just type in 2-letter country codes into Google and you'll get all of them. Because they're literally, there's like AU for Australia and NZ for New Zealand, and there's thousands of them. But just type it into, well, there's not thousands, but you know what I mean. Just literally type in 2-letter country codes into Google. It's the same ones that like are on the cars all around Europe. If that was actually someone in Europe asking that question, would you mind not have been? They're like, what's she talking about? But we all have to drive around with our country code on our car if we're in Europe. Quite cool. But yeah, awesome. Easy. Yeah.
Probably faster.
I think the UK is the UK is the only one where it's actually UK, not GB. That we of course are always odd. But yeah, other than that, it's literally the 2 codes. So when you go to someone previous, that could also mean, oh, where was she before AppsFlyer? Oh, maybe I can go there if I'm not finding. Oh wow, she came in from. That's interesting.
So moved from Argentina to Israel, and then started as a technical support engineer and moved into a product support expert role. So that's fascinating. That they're, at least in this case, they're willing to promote someone up from, looks like, analyst to support to product support, and that really is super hands-on until this specific role, which has a lot of cool engineering keywords. So. But you know, this isn't a technical background before moving into tech support. So it's interesting to know that they'll take people in from that path as well.
And that's the thing I was talking to. Well, I was actually talking to Benjamin about it as well, and to Sarah about if I was given this role and it had been open for 12 months, that's when I'd be sitting down with the hiring manager and going, like, come on, you've been managing without this role for 12 months. We could have trained 5 people up in 12 months. So what could we do? What else could we do? Could we get a little bit realistic? And I think sometimes we have to do that. We have to go in with all of our data and ammunition and say, 12 months, guys, 12 months. You know, they could have trained so many people up, right? Like,
yeah.
And also interesting that they've got someone who's in that role. She's exactly in the role. So interesting. Get your ammunition. Go and manage those hiring managers. I don't have a bee in my bonnet about that at all.
12 months is a very long time to keep a role open. But,
thank you, Ashley, for sharing that for the country code. Oh, from Mike. Thanks, Mike. Hello, Mike. I'm doing fillers while we wait for your Wi-Fi. It's not coping with us being on video, is it?
I tried to make this, I tested all of my speeds as fast as possible. I usually get 200 megabytes per second, and now I'm getting like 2. This is so sad. Awesome. So this is something this is a profile that looks more in line with what we're getting from the job description or the job blurb, and less in line with the background of this person. But, you know, this person might be someone who's come in who's got the expert who can maybe even like train someone who came up through support. So this is a hands-on big data developer. I'm not sure if I would reach out to someone who has been just promoted in June, quite frankly, but you know, you never know who she knows. But I really want to see, you know, what her background is as I'm just gonna like scroll through and see. This is all that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying this would be the kind of person that he'd go, no, she's too technical.
Yeah.
That was the problem with this role. Yeah. So if we were to look at, if we were to get in touch with this person, and it was really just to kind of lead pool, the thing, she's gone off the profile. And the thing I'd be doing is actually being quite honest about it. You know, I'm getting in contact with you from the company, and I've looked at your profile and I can see that you haven't got the experience right now, or you just recently changed roles. I'm going to be really frank with you. I'm struggling with this role. Can you help? And actually, people love to help. So sometimes that can be quite a good way to do it, just to be really honest. But show that you've looked and seen, hey, I'm pretty confident you're not right for this, but you must know people, and we're really struggling with this. Can you help? And just see. They can always ignore you.
Yeah. I think also like just being honest is definitely like the place to go, where if someone gets something and it says, you're perfect for this role, and you're like, they look at the JD and they're like, I'm not perfect for this. I think you bury yourself in a hole almost.
By the way, when I was writing this, for all the people who do outreach, in here, there's a stat about 80%. If you write, I came across your profile on LinkedIn, your response rate will reduce 80%. Do not use that phrase. No. Use the word you. Like, your background would be great. Like, so for the person we just looked at, is it this person? You know, your background is almost right, and it'd probably be right for other roles. But you all the way through, and you'll hook them in straight away. If you listen to advertising, it's all in the you every time. Sorry, I keep interrupting you because I'm so excited. And nothing to do with all the chocolates I ate earlier.
No worries.
It's late here. I needed some sugar.
Yeah. So this person I'm looking at, just wanted to sort of talk through my thought process again, but they're doing client services support. It looks like they're really working on how all the different companies and clients work together, and maybe external product support. So I don't think is necessarily the best fit for different reasons. Product manager, I was going to open this in the background so I could have a couple load at once, and forgot to do that. We're doing this live, like I said.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, let's try to get this one up too. I'm so sorry. I did everything in my power to get as fast a connection as I possibly could right now. But so this person is now a freelance product manager, but doing this big data stuff. I honestly would reach out to this person, given what we know about the role. The title is a little bit off, but the title isn't like perfectly aligned, but it seems like the work is more aligned. So they're defining ETL processes, managing, working with the big data, and lead projects of merging different data systems. Like they probably know everything that there is to know about the different big data systems and have done similar work, even if it's a slightly different title right now. So I would try to. So how would we reach out to her?
Sorry, Banjo just decided to move.
Oh no.
He's like, I'm sorry, but why aren't you sitting on the sofa? Like, why are you at your computer? He's a bit confused. He's about to put my chair down. So again, if she's freelance, mind you, we are in the middle of a pandemic. She might be more inclined at this point. But again, I'd be really frank about like, hi, I can see you freelance. This is probably the last thing that's of interest to you. Whereas most people don't. Most people will just go hit up. I get hit up all the time. Do you want a permanent role? I'm like, are you serious? I've been working for myself for 10 and a half years. Go away. Yeah. So you've got to approach in that way of, I can see that you're freelance. But of course, all the things that we talked about, which we will not try and do now, because your Wi-Fi is not having it, is doing things like highlighting its name there, right click, search Google, finding Twitter, finding Instagram. You're going to try, are you? She hasn't got it under contact info.
I'm going to try.
You're going to try. Search Google. So what we're looking for is she have a Twitter account? Facebook, will it show me if she's got children? I'm looking what she just last tweeted about, and anything that I can use in the conversation. Now, anyone who just freaked out when I said, does she have children? I mean, in this respect, if you were to get in touch with Sarah and I, we have 4-legged children. So if you were to just get in touch with us and say, oh, we've got an amazing bring dog to work policy for my case, for example, or great pet policy or whatever, Sarah and I would sit up and pay attention. Whereas if you went, oh, we've got brilliant creche, flexible hours, blah, 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 we'd probably just go, yeah, whatever. Like, we're not really interested in your childcare stuff. So it's not to rule someone out, it's to find something to talk to them about. Oh, look at her with all her ratings. What's this?
She's got reviews. She's got, who other people have used. Again, this is
look, the contact button.
Yeah. She can invite, message, and favorite.
That's so cool.
I think this is messaging through. Oh yeah, it's gonna force me to sign in. Oh, don't do this.
Yeah. So what?
Obviously, I'm not gonna sign in right now.
How cool. Yeah. But again, if you just go,
but I would want to.
I know you're freelance, but this is quite a cool role. What do you think? She might know someone. She might throw a name at you of someone that's you just can't find online. So I vote, because we're at 23 minutes, we go into the next one so that we try and give about 20 minutes each one. Is that cool?
Awesome. That's totally cool by me. Do we have any more questions, Ryan? Just about this specific role while we're here?
Ryan has to remember to unmute.
Let me see. Let me gather them up. I don't have them handy here. Let's gather them up. I'll come back to them though.
Okay. I can just physically see him getting all these bits of paper and piling them up. No? Okay. I'm trying so hard to be funny and just failing dismally this evening. Right, so the next one, are you ready? Dun, dun. No? She's currently trying to get a Wi-Fi to work. Do you want me to read it out? Yes, okay. I don't know what's happened to Sarah. We've lost Sarah. So Tara in South Carolina gave us the Senior Enterprise Content Developer role. It's a remote role, but it's not. So was this the one that was not? Yeah, this is the one that was not. So this person plans, coordinates, monitors, analyzes, installs, and provides ongoing support for the company-wide initiatives and efforts as part of the Enterprise Content Strategy implementation. And then there was a mega lot of duties and responsibilities, which I will not read out. But job requirements. So this was the bit that baffled me, and I said to her, I don't get this. It's 100% remote. However, for everybody that doesn't live in the US who definitely wants to know this, they must live in one of these following states. And there's like AL, FL, GA, and on it went right through to WI. And I'm sitting here going, I'm sorry, but it's 100% remote. Why? So for we that don't reside in the US, why? Why do they have to live in the states that are here?
Yeah, so actually I went to, and sorry about earlier, it was muted. But I went to
you're doing it, Ryan.
Yep. So I went to a free resource called mapchart.net. I literally just Googled free fill-in maps. And I'm a very visual person, so I like to see everything. So I wanted to sort of map out all the different states. And I mean, I guess they probably have, offices that have just sort of expanded. But the US is just super, super, super weird. It's a bunch of different places that have been like, hey, here are my laws. And every single state has different laws, taxes, regulations. And you actually, for every state in which you have an employee, you need to file with like that specific state's Secretary of State's office. So you need to be authorized to do business in like every single one, and there's all sorts of fees and red tape and everything involved. So even if you are 100% remote, you need to be 100% remote from a state where they've already figured it out. Probably
so it's actually about where the employee lives, actually where their house is, not how interesting.
Yeah, so it's all based on where the actual it's based on where the actual employee is. And that's also why you've got this, and I would love to just listen to people who are experts in this, because this is absolutely far out of my field. But you've got all these people who are leaving Silicon Valley right now, also because it's kind of on fire. But they're leaving between the pandemic and the wildfires, and they're moving to places where there's a much lower cost of living, and they're not going to be, it's based on like where you're a resident, where you pay taxes, and suddenly you have all these Silicon Valley companies figuring out, oh shoot, how do I do this? How do I pay people equitably if they can, you know, the cost of an apartment in San Francisco is very, very different from the cost of an apartment in like Oklahoma or Missouri, for example. So I just wanted to sort of get like.
So even if you had someone in California, you'd have to get them to move next door to Nevada. Just that NV's Nevada. Did I get that right? Yep. So
that's the right. That's the right way.
Even if you want to hire them, if they're in the wrong state, they need to move in this particular case.
Yeah.
See, I thought people and there are tons of people that aren't in the US sourcing for the US. That's actually really interesting to know. So that was really cool that came up on that roll. So thanks for that. I learned something, which is always good.
California has like so many roles that, you know, even someone who'd be like, oh yeah, I'll add in Arkansas or Mississippi, might not be as willing to add in California, just because the roles there are so different from almost anywhere else in the country.
Interesting.
Awesome. So this is the enterprise content strategy role, right? So let's go.
It is. I didn't kind of go into these. Did you want me to go into some of the requirements, like 5 years of this, that, and the other, or?
I think I can sort of just explain it out. I should have. I should have just grabbed this out.
So I'd be here for a while, guys.
Yeah, they sent like the full.
Turn my brightness down. I'm dying
here. They sent the full job description, not just like the quick little blurb. But basically, they're looking for someone who is an enterprise content strategy implementation and developer, who has specific experience with a program called OnBase, potentially also with a certification called OnBase API, which I did a ton of Googling for, and I personally could not find the registration. Sometimes with certs, you'll be able to actually search for everyone who's been certified. I spent some time just looking for it and could not find it. We'll save that time now. But I wanted to sort of show.
You were going to come on and blow their minds with that, weren't you? And
I was so excited. Sometimes you can find one and you can just like search through, you know, show me everyone whose first name is an A who lives in Alabama and get every possible thing. But in this case, it didn't quite work. So I actually wanted to show, and I got to shout out Irina Shemeva for showing this trick, but LinkedIn recently rolled out the open to work little green circles. Those do the hashtag open to work for people who actually put that on their profile. That is searchable. So I actually wanted to just sort of, I'm going to start with that.
Sorry, because I know someone's going to ask this question. So even if they just put the profile, it will put the hashtag open to work on their actual blurb somewhere, like probably behind the scenes in the code.
Yeah. So
I'm being very technical this evening, behind the scenes in the blurb.
Yeah, it actually, it pops up. And so now, of course, this is actually a great other thing. I bet this person just accepted a new job. So he's working at a company called Open to Work. But that'll work. So this is someone who is open to work but doesn't have the circle on their profile right now. but
can you go back
when you do it, it actually like.
Sorry, I was just thinking we should actually explain the string. That's okay. So in my head, if I was looking at that string, I'm saying to Google, go and search linkedin.com/in. So I'm looking for profiles in the US, right?
Yep.
Hashtag open to work. And then with the brackets in the pipe, you're saying on base or ECS or SharePoint, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know people on the call how savvy they are with the Boolean. So my training brain's coming out.
This one, just the way that like Google, it has a brain of its own. It has people who are just constantly working on manipulating their search string. It's not doing, if you do like pure Boolean logic, this would show everyone who's got anywhere on their profile on base or ECS or SharePoint. Just the way that Google puts it together, it's going to give me at the top of the search, it's going to give me people who've got on base and ECS and SharePoint. So it's not a pure, it's not just pure, here's anything. You'd get that if you scrolled all the way to the back. So yeah, this is, but it's still, you know, you're getting people who worked at who are facility managers at companies called ECS. And this is just super, super broad. So that's a lot. So I might, I'm going to play around and use something that I didn't try live. So I'm just going to look for the keyword enterprise content.
It's quite important, isn't it?
Yeah,
Google
so we've got,
like
Google doesn't like it. And every so often, if Google doesn't like it, it'll just be like, hey, we don't like you. We hate everything that you do. Here's some people that may or may not possibly have anything to do with the search that you just did.
Does it still do that thing where it checks you're a robot? Does it still do that when it comes up? You have to run too many X-rays and it gets really stroppy.
We'll probably need to do that too as we go through. But yeah, this is, I'm just like, how did they figure this out? So I'm gonna try and see if it's just the open to work. Maybe people who are on base ECS SharePoint developers aren't open to work.
There you go.
Here we moved from, maybe there are 25 people who kind of sort of fit to here's 25,000, which is huge. And you've got some people who say, oh, you're in LA. I'm not going to even look at that. This person works at a company called ECS. This person's technical sales. This is super, super broad. So I'm going to put, actually, I'm not going to do, So
you're now going in the title of the page, you want implementation.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the title of the page. So this is, they're going to have, there's not always like a one-to-one someone's current job title to what their title on LinkedIn is. But if you put this in your headline on LinkedIn and you haven't hidden yourself from search results, here's where you're going to show up. And that's that actually brought me into, where I want to be with, which is like 80 folks. So let's see. And this Wisconsin is on the list.
Why is it making it ECS?
I don't know. ECM probably is just, there's probably more folks who do that. But ECM implementation is enterprise content management. ECS is just, I don't know what ECS
enterprise
is.
Content
Strategy management. They're not that different, but this person specializes in on-base. You look through, they've got all these things. So I would probably start with, just from what I can see on this person's page, I would reach out to them.
So if we were to, I'm just watching the time at the same time, because we're going to get too excited and we want to find the perfect person and we haven't got time to find the perfect person. So again, I would be, so of course, if this was my screen and I was showing my screen, I have quite several Chrome extensions installed that I use to find their other social media sites. I don't pay for them because I like free tools as well. So I use the free thing for Hydgel, and I use the free for, actually, did we work out if Connectify wasn't working anymore? Was it?
Yeah, Connectify's done, unfortunately.
Well, and I also use Amazing Hiring. Now, please be aware whenever you use any Chrome extensions on LinkedIn, you are breaching the terms and conditions of using LinkedIn. So make sure that every so often you back up your, download your database in case they ever kick you off forever. But, it's pretty rare that they do. And I'm using that to find out what else can I find out about Spencer Rogers. The really awesome thing is if you can go and find a blog post that they've written or something different, go and follow them on Twitter so they see you followed them, and then you send them a message and they're like, oh, wow, that Katrina Collier really is getting my attention. You're standing out from others who just can't be bothered. And it'll go like, I came across your profile, I'm looking for this, blah, blah, blah. So he's got one of those names. If we search Spencer Rogers, there are too many. Is there anything under contact info? Does he have a blog, or does he have a website? No. Miserable man. So perhaps you roll back. But again, so if you had a more unusual name, and going back to, I mentioned Facebook, it would be the sort of thing where I'd be going, okay, so I type Sarah Goldberg into Facebook. Can I see what her music tastes are? There's a classic example in the book where Angie Veros talks about someone knew what a Duran Duran fan she was, so sent her a message using Duran Duran lyrics. Now, this is when you're looking for people who are in demand, who get inundated with messages from recruiters, and you just make that little bit of extra effort. But it's just use the tools, be curious, use that innate childlike curiosity to go find out something about them that will make you stand out from the crowd. In this case, can we roll down a bit and see, is there any other way that I can, or maybe you can find nothing. He's a bit sparse.
Yeah, there's this person just does his thing. I mean, we can try Googling Spencer Rogers.
But he's got those names.
He's
got one of those names.
I would say this is a Sarah Goldberg. I know so many other Sarah Goldbergs in the world. There's one of my coworkers has been dating someone whose name is Sarah Goldberg the whole time I've known him, who is not me. But every so often he'll just pop up into Slack and be like, yeah, going to, or this was before the pandemic, but he'll be like, yeah, going to Vegas with Sarah Goldberg. And I'm just like, what is going on right now? But yeah, no, this is there's obituaries.
Did you put his location in, didn't you?
Yeah. So that's why I'm probably getting some of these.
Oh, hang on, but did I see a, no, don't actually, no, we're not opening on Facebook. Hey, do the other option, of course, is, well, Google image search is now not great. I'm trying not to swear. So the other option is to save the image onto your desktop, load it up into Yandex, and use Yandex to search for images. That worked quite well, didn't it?
Yeah, you can also, I think you can search by the image address. We got 2 to 4 minutes before we should switch to the next one. Let's do it.
Yeah, I know. I was saying the slow way. You're teaching me the quick way. Oh my God, I still want that pie.
Take this to door.
Can we have berry pie in the intro while we're waiting?
That did not work. No. Okay, I don't want to download and upload this.
But you can download it and upload it, can't you? But we don't have time, so.
Yeah. I think it would probably, let's do SRECM. Oh, here we go. Now this should work. I just entered it the wrong place. What happens when you do something live?
So where did you enter that instead?
So I hit at first I just searched, but then I hit the upload button.
Gotcha.
They actually, so this isn't perfect. Yandex does a little bit more.
They're not him.
None of these people are him. This is just lots and lots of bald humans. So sorry. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it'll find other places where, especially if people use the same headshot. I tested this out using my own headshot, and it was like, oh yeah, so it found me here, but it also found me at other conferences that I've spoken at.
Yeah, I reckon it's in the similar images though. I do think it's him in the middle smiling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th over on the top row. That one. No.
This one?
Back one. Nope. No, one over. Yep. I could be wrong.
Oh, shoot.
But this is the kind of stuff that anyone watching, like you, this is what we do. We sit here and we just know it's you're literally trying to find those tidbits of information that you can use in conversation all the time. It's not just the standard. And also, you want to get off, like you want to get to Spencer Rogers' email address.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got another question, Ryan? No? Or was that you?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Sometimes I will give Loxo a shout out. I don't want to log in because it would probably take the entire 20 minutes just to go through, given the speed of my internet right now. But they've got really good free contact info. So I usually will pop there. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so hopefully when we do this next role. All right, did you want to show any other strings that you wrote for this role and just quickly explain those? If there was anything else.
Most of them were just variations on enterprise content implementation, developer. I just did a bunch of different versions of that, looking through it. And you can also do this with resume searches, I think, because it's got a lot of like very particular keywords. You can also just look for. I do want to do the OCAPI certification, and then let's do title.
Oh, so you can find training and stuff. But...
Yeah. Oh, so that's why I did entitled resume. I do not mean OCAPI certification, but this is an example. You can find, you do have all the, I would just knock out relevant jobs from my site, from my string entirely. But here you find someone who they're experienced consultant. If you just need someone to come in and build the implementation, not stick around, reach out to this person, and they have posted their personal email and personal phone number. So I might just give them a call.
I'd call them. And for anyone who just shuddered, if you call someone and they answer their phone, they're giving you permission to speak. This is what used to happen back in the day. The phone would ring and someone would answer it. And if they didn't want to talk, you go, I can't talk, I've got to go. Just be respectful that you're calling them on their mobile or cell. Okay, shall we do the last one? And then hopefully we'll get some better, because we're really not seeing any gritty information about anybody. This is ridiculous. We need to, I want to see some juicy, like, conversation starters, as I call them throughout the book. So Laurie in North Carolina, thank you for your role. This is the Digital Fraud Program Manager. Thought leadership advocate in our risk and compliance practice, responsible for leading projects within financial services digital fraud space. Very important role. Projects managed will scan across several focus areas, including fraud, digital synthetic fraud, real-time payment fraud, and ATO, and digital fraud. Oh gosh, there's a lot of fraud going on. Digital fraud governance, digital fraud architectures, analytics, business intelligence, and reporting. That makes me quite depressed. My God. You just got visions that they're fighting all these fraudsters constantly, doesn't it? Was there anything specific you want me to read out from the rest of it that will help? This was this was the location one where I just went, how would I search for that? I don't live in the US. Because the location is northeast with easy access to an airport to travel as needed. And we were saying like a smaller airport, weren't we?
Yeah, well,
to make travel easy.
When we were talking about it, I think I would obviously start New York and Boston, just because those are the biggest cities that are most likely to have someone who's doing this work right now at a huge company where they need to be in the office regularly. If they could be remote, I think it's anywhere in the Northeast, as long as they're willing to do 50% travel. That's when I would start looking for people who are. I actually just pulled up a list of like a map of airports and started just like picking them out. Like, okay, let's look here, let's look here, let's look here. And I can definitely, if you want to.
So what did you?
But
sorry, how did you get here? I missed that. I was reading.
So this one, Google is your friend. I actually just started. I did a Google search earlier for like best fraud fraud prevention conferences, just because I want to be a little bit cognizant of my own, like, what's the NSA going to think when they're tracking all my Google searches. but
dodgy, throw her in jail.
Right. So I did want to look through all these different fintech events, and this one looked really interesting. So presumably it did not actually happen live because it was in April, but just a list of all the conferences for someone who is this senior. You're probably going to find someone speaking. So I actually just want to see, we've got all the different exhibitors, the floor plan. So this is a trade show, not a conference, because there are no speakers, and so I should have done a little bit more research right before this.
But just use one as an example of, because then you're showing how you like, okay, so this person is senior, they'd be likely to speaking or attending a conference. Let's go find the conferences. So we'll just pretend it's the right one. It's all good.
Here we go.
It's fintech, so yeah.
Yeah, FinTech Connect. I want to just see the speakers. And as I'm going to look through here, we've got so all these people are doing really cool stuff. I want to see if anyone just has we've got a lot of chief heads, client partners. See if we have anyone. Oh, women in payments. I would also, honestly, I'm going to open that up. If I were searching, I would sort of take this and like follow that thread. Who's presenting at this Women in Payments? Just because you always want to make sure you've got an eye for finding potentially underrepresented candidates. So here's what I want to see.
And particularly,
we have
this is it's an in-house recruitment team working on this role. So at the same time, they're like, oh my gosh, look at this pile of people. That's like they might have other roles.
They've got a job board. So if I were doing this internally, I would post this on the job board and just be like, hey, I want to get this, like, I realize we're not here, this isn't sourcing, but I would want to get the word out, like, hey, we've got this role, it's super senior, we want to make sure we're getting it out to a broad audience. But yeah, so I would sort of look through all these things. And honestly, I'm just going to do like a quick scroll, just sort of see all of these. I'm going to just pick a random person, and I want to see, how they talk about what I'm looking for is this URL, because it's got speakers right there. So if I want to be a little bit faster, I'm going to change the URL to site. I'm going to release everything, get rid of everything after speakers, and I'm going to look for, see if any of the speakers have the words digital fraud. And of course they don't. But sometimes if someone smarter than me knows the answer to that, sometimes putting like the backslash will actually change the search. In this case, it didn't quite work. Let me just see if
but don't forget, you're probably not fraud. You're in a fintech event, so that's probably why. Yeah,
here we go. So, but now we've got speakers. So digital fraud didn't work because everybody's already talking about digital, but now we've got, this person's had a fraud and payment at a specific clothing company. I would love to reach out to this person. And, probably the first step would be Googling.
Google their name. Gotta love a good Google. Instagram.
Yep.
So seriously, for those of you who do not use Instagram for recruitment, I love it. It is an absolute brilliant way to keep in touch with people, corporate hashtags to share behind the scenes. It's one of the most interactive of the websites. I'm a bit worried it might be the freaky girl version though, if you've just clicked in. Just rolled a bit. But honestly, it's so good for keeping in touch with people. And there's loads of recruiters and HR on there as well, which is so cool. I love Instagram.
Yeah. Awesome. So that person lives in London, so would definitely be a person for you to reach out to, but this is sometimes the challenge with this, a person CEO of their own company, but trying to find someone who,
if you go back to
where exactly they live.
Yeah, but if you go back to Ebru, so you, on the second tab, the next tab over, that you found something, was that just from searching her name?
Oh yeah, I searched her name, found her on Crunchbase. So when you're looking, I think, I don't have a paid version of Crunchbase, but it's got a great. Yeah, honestly, this is just enough to see what their primary title was and where she lives. So if it is a global role, I would definitely. Sorry.
Yeah, and also the other thing is to then maybe go through and find somewhere else. And I still would go and have a look on Facebook because you do find out interesting bits of information. But is it possible that she is American and moved to London for a role and she might be looking to get back? Like, it's worth looking further in the career rather than just dismissing at the high level. Obviously, work time, we're dismissing at the high level. But, you know, it's worth taking the extra minute to go, well, okay, let me have a look at her LinkedIn. Let me see what her background is. Oh, she's actually American. Let's see if she wants to come home. You never know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Let's pull her up on LinkedIn. If this loads. Thank you so much for your patience with my slow internet today.
It's not as bad as you think. It's not as bad as dial-up.
Global e-commerce growth.
No, she's not. Yeah, no, she's British. She's British. No, she's been here a while. She's not going anywhere. But she might know someone. If you're really desperate, it's like, you know, you're not right, but who do you know? Hello, Ryan. I wonder if Ryan's unmuted himself or if he's doing a Ryan.
I am here. We have a couple questions that we can go through before we round out the session here. So let me read them off. I think we have time for probably 3 or 4. Can you show how to target a specific location when you're searching on Google or just a regular search engine?
Yeah. So honestly, I do in the U.S. I would do it by zip codes. So I'm just gonna do a resume. I'm sorry. So yeah, so this one I'm gonna do say resume, someone who's got a copy certification, and on your resume, it's less common now, but you might have your zip code because some people actually put their full address. So I'm just using Chicago because I know it off the top of my head. All Chicago zip codes are going to be between 60601 and 60699. Just because
so the 2 dots does the range.
Yeah, the 2 dots is the range. Num range, that's the num range operator. So yeah.
I said near, wasn't right. Yeah. It's the range.
Yeah, so I looked.
Why don't you use a nicer skill? Yeah.
I'm trying to be really specific, and it's just not working. Okay, I'm gonna do this.
By putting the inverted commas. By putting the inverted commas around on base, Sarah, you're asking for the exact word, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So this works. Wait. You're not gonna tell me you have no pictures. I could see this picture right here.
Develop automate. No, you just showed it.
What? I can literally see this. So that's cool. But it's normally this actually works. Oh, we can just download. This looks like it's everyone who graduated from fourth. I wonder if Fourthmore knows that this is just up there. These are recent grads. This is a guide. I got real excited for a second. Normally I just go to this image search and it just works. But these are all just bad examples.
That's it.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that's the resume.
Usually I would do.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're doing this live.
That's fine. So let me ask the next question
I would
here.
Look for zip codes like that. You can also.
I think we might be on a delay here, but so can you share about how you go about determining which resumes are worth calling or reaching out to, so that you're not wasting your time when you're looking at so many potential results?
Yeah. So honestly, like after a while, you just get a sense as you look through. But I think we tried to show this a little bit of looking through. Hey, here's the path that someone took to get to this. I would just sort of look through that path, and the more you work on a job, the more I think you can figure that out and just sort of work through it. There is, if you are developing that skill, I use an extension. There's my favorite one is actually called Highlight This, and you can put in very quickly green list and red list words. So you can actually say, highlight all of these good keywords in green, and those are, words that someone's probably using. They might be in your search. They might just be words that are going to be on a profile. Highlight those in green. And if they're red flag keywords, if I know, if someone's worked at this company or they're talking a lot about hardware and I'm looking for a software role, I'd put that in the red list category. And then you can quickly see what's the color of this page. Great, yes, no. I do read resumes because I think you do, as you're like reaching out to someone, you need to have stuff to talk about. But if you just want that like quick, give me this in 1 second or less, I use highlight this.
Never forget that people cannot write their resumes and CVs. I actually had a rant about this earlier on LinkedIn. Okay, so we're still recruiting on somebody's ability to write their CV, and some of the worst CVs and resumes I see are of recruiters. So if we find it hard with the thousands that we look in and day out, so sometimes it's actually hard to tell. Like you're saying, you have to get a sense of it because people might be just omitting information off there because they don't think to put it. We're looking for some keyword that they're using day in and day out. They just don't think to put. Oh, I use this because they're just using it every day and don't see that it's special. So just something to think about.
Rachel Cannon, I think, talks about this too. Sometimes people, especially if you're looking for a copywriter, fine, it's probably important that they don't have typos on their resume. But if you're looking for an engineer, she talks a lot about doing fuzzy search. So searching for someone who's got the word engineer, but they've got 2 E's instead of 3 at the end of it. But looking for deliberate typos.
Yeah, engineers and managers.
Let's do one last question, and then we'll move on here.
Okay.
How many candidates do you recommend finding before you shortlist them and begin the actual reach out process?
Yep. So this is when I do it, I will run a search. I'll usually get 20 to 40 people in the first batch, and I'll just open them up. I'll right click as I'm going and open people up as I go, and then I'll just put people into one tab and click through. And I just do it in batches of 20 at a time just to be a little bit more efficient. But it's really I don't usually sit and be like, okay, I need to. I do 20 because that's just what is normally on a LinkedIn page. I don't usually sit there counting off a tally okay, I need to get to 30 before I can start going through.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Ladies, this was a really good session. I appreciate it. And I just moved my screen. Apologies. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to fiddle with my thing here, and I moved everything over. So anyhow, I really appreciate everything. We have some other questions that came in, so we'll gather those. We'll get them out. For those of you that are asking, the entire session, of course, has been recorded. There were some materials that were mentioned. We'll gather those. We will get those out. So thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, Katrina. It was great having you back on. And enjoy. Katrina, I know it's late where you are, so go get some.
Oh yeah, I'm off to nap. Oh, sorry. No, Matt, I'm gonna watch your session then nap.
Yeah, it's time for bed, but thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.